Well, temperatures are peaking around 62 degrees today on this sunny Sunday afternoon here in Iowa City. And most of the snow is officially gone. Cyclists are whizzing down the road, and I just might have to get my Honda motorcycle out of the garage and dust off my riding gear. Well, after you come inside from some outdoor activities, won't you spend some of this evening with me by the glow of your radio? And join me for this week's episode of Radio Ranger. And this is Radio Ranger in glorious stereo from my home in Iowa City, Iowa. In this weekly program, I highlight a broadcast radio program that you can tune into in your local listening area or stream online. I share reflections and memories of how each of these programs has had an impact on me in hopes that you decide to give it a listen to. Maybe it'll become a part of your regular routine. The goal of Radio Ranger is to keep radio alive and encourage radio listenership. I'll also play music or hand-selected shows from the golden age of radio. Well, thanks for joining me this Sunday evening and sharing a little bit of time with me. And hopefully you've been taking the time to go and explore some of the radio programs that I've been sharing with you. Remember, the links that you need to find the programs, the pages, and the resources are always posted down below. For me, Saturday and Sunday evenings are about listening to the radio and also cooking, hopefully with somebody special. Well, we go back down memory lane to Maryland and Washington, D.C. area this evening with a radio memory from that time and place, but one where you can join me by listening in anywhere. So take out the onions, chop up the peppers, and let's listen to some great Latin music with the Latin Flavor Classic Edition, hosted by Jim Byers from WPFW in Washington, D.C.
Past 6 p.m. and you're tasting the Latin Flavor Classic Edition. I'm your host, Jim Byers, broadcasting in Mambo-phonic high fidelity as we do every Sunday from 6 until 8 p.m., bringing you the best in Palladium-era Latin jazz, mambo, cha-cha-cha, pachanga, boogaloo, Latin soul, you name it, we play it from 6 until 8. That's when Daniel Del Pilago comes your way with the Palante edition of the Latin Flavor, bringing you 2 solid hours of salsa dura and pan-Latin American sounds that you will love from 8 until 10 p.m. Then Tony Carr brings you This Is Reggae Music, and that's from 10 until midnight. So keep it locked right here on WPFW 89.3 FM. Happy anniversary to us. We've been together 44 years, which is interesting as I'm 53. But WPFW is 44 years old tonight. We went on the air at 8 p.m. on the 28th of February, 1977. That means, as this program is going off, WPFW was just coming on the air. When Daniel Del Pilago starts, WPFW was born. So we're proud here on the Latin Flavor portion to be literally at the nexus and at the moment of WPFW's creation. WPFW has grown and thrived thanks to your support.
All right, a little bit of a pledge drive plug, but a anniversary worth celebrating. That's host Jim Byers in the studio there with WPFW Pacifica Radio in Washington, D.C. That's an excerpt I am playing from the broadcast of Sunday, February the 28th, 2021, of the Latin Flavor Classic Edition. The Latin Flavor is a series of programs that has aired on PFW for many years. Jim Byers has always hosted the Classic Flavor, while other versions like Salsa have their own hosts. You can find these programs on the WPFW website and access them for online live streaming or archiving of the shows, which are limited to the most recent 5 shows for copyright restrictions. We're finding that to be an increasing trend in the archiving of radio programs as we explore online archives. Go to wpfwfm.org/radio/programming/archived-shows. You'll find that link below if you're listening to this online. Aside from the Latin Flavor Classic Edition, PFW, as they're known locally, has an astounding amount of programs featuring a diverse array of music, ranging from the music of Africa and the Caribbean to jazz and soul and more. PFW is also known as the quote-unquote Jazz and Justice Station in Washington, D.C. And while I tend to remain fairly neutral and bipartisan politically, WPFW does not. They have a decidedly liberal stance on things, political-wise, and overtly have a lot of political programming. Not that there's a problem with that. In a democracy, we need to have those things. While I might not always agree with all the politics on all the shows on PFW, I agree with PFW's existence and appreciate so much of their programming. I think that's the way it is in life, or the way it's supposed to be. I've never had the pleasure to meet Jim Byers, but I have talked to him online. I know that he is an avid classic car enthusiast, a big aficionado of American classic cars from the 1950s and 60s. Jim has a Facebook page that he operates for the Latin Flavor Classic Edition, and you only need to look that up, and I will try and post that link if you are interested in following it. Much of his programming is posted there as well. Well, like many people in small independent public radio stations like PFW, Jim Byers has a day job, which is running the Tourism Bureau and Department for Arlington, Virginia. Something that I think he's probably very good at. But Latin music from the Palladian era is his other passion, and it shows. He has a huge background knowledge of this era of music and a large collection of his own. One needs to only tune in to hear the excitement and the great quality of music that he brings into a listener's home to make those evenings so much fun on the weekend. I like to listen to the Latin Flavor Classic Edition at 6 o'clock Eastern Time on Sundays. If you want to find it, go to PFW's website and find any other broadcast times for Jim Byers, and I encourage you to dig into all the other great programs on WPFW. The website makes it easy with a drop-down menu to select any program, find it, listen to its archives, or find out when it's live on the air. They also have a separate section that has playlists for their musical programs if you are a music aficionado and want to find the name, title, artist of specific tracks that aired on any specific show. I again strongly encourage you to check that out. Well, if you like slightly more contemporary Latin music, check out the Latin Flavor Palante edition, which follows Jim's show. And let's give a listen to that as well as hearing from its host.
Siempre pa'lante y nunca para atrás aquí en su programa, The Latin Flavor, the Palante Edition. Yo me llamo Daniel del Piélago, ya saben. My name is Daniel del Piélago, and I host a show called The Latin Flavor, the Palante Edition on WPFW 89.3 FM. Typically, I play that 70s era, hard salsa, some boogaloo, some Latin jazz and funk and soul from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and sometimes even the 90s, and sometimes even some new stuff. Through knowing how hip-hop is made through sampling, which was what was popular in my era, I learned about records, and that really sparked my love of music. So I got into jazz, funk, soul, salsa, drum breaks, anything that had like a funky beat on it, I was looking for it. And more recently, I really got into salsa. It was music that I always had in the house when I was growing up, but it was my parents' music. That's what they listened to, and that's when we went to the parties, that's what they listened to. Well, for me, when I became more of an adult, I started to realize the message in salsa and the cultural value that salsa has, the music that came to be known as salsa. WPFW has been on air for over 40 years. It has a rich history of involving the Latinx community and its music and its issues. So WPFW is just such a resource to Washington, D.C. It's terrestrial radio. It has programming unlike any other radio station in the city, and you could argue in many other cities, but it's an extremely cool radio station. I'm so honored to be a part of the Sunday evening block, the Latin Flavor block, which has been around for, just about as long as WPFW has been here.
That Latin Flavor block on PFW, the focus of tonight's episode of Radio Ranger, and I would encourage you to check it out and find what flavor suits you best. Well, we're going to give a listen to a piece of music as a salute to Jim Byers. Here's Oye Como Va by Tito Puente. Well, hopefully this has whet your appetite to go check out the Latin Flavor block on WPFW. Explore their website, their programming list, and find lots of great programs with astounding music from all around the world, as well as lively political talk and news, if that's of your interest. But I strongly, strongly recommend Jim Byers' Latin Flavor Classic Edition and the entire Latin Flavor crew. Well, thanks for taking the time to listen to Radio Ranger on your Sunday evening. And remember, don't listen to my program. Listen to everyone else's.
Are you the Wolfman?